What secret codes are all around us that only people in the know recognize? At the mall, they taught us to use Nora if someone was being belligerent and we needed to get the cops in here. Nora equals need officer right away. For example, if a guy was at the counter screaming and cursing, threatening us but we couldn't escape, he won't leave and we felt unsafe, we'd ask him to hold while I called a manager. Then I'd get the phone, call the police station in the mall, legit cops, not mall cops, and say something like, "Hi Nora, this is so and so calling. I have a customer issue I was hoping you can help with." Then hang up and announce the manager was on the way. Cops showed up instead. This is brilliant. A good way of calling for help without risking aggravating the situation further. In Indonesia, whenever you're dealing with anyone working in the government, police officers, custom officers, airport security, etc., when they start talking about how strict the rules are or how they need to meet some sort of quota, that means they're expecting a big bribe. I tend to play dumb and go, "Oh, okay then. I guess I'll just have to throw this thing out / go to court / not bother getting this document." It's fun watching them panic and try to find a subtle way of asking for a bribe without saying they want a bribe. What do they do / how do they go about saying it? They'll usually say something like, "But I really want to help you. Really, want to. Court is no place for a girl. It's really dirty and you won't want to go there. The fine you'd end up paying will be more expensive than if we just settle it here. Look, I normally don't do this but you remind me of my daughter / you seem like a nice kid / any other excuse to make it seem like I'm a special case, so I'm going to help you out. But give me something to make it worth my risk, okay?" Haha, that's great. What do you end up doing / saying most of the time? Ever called their bluffs all the way just to see? Depends on how much I need something done. If I absolutely have to pay the bribe, I sometimes go, "Oh. You want a bribe? Okay, I totally got this. How much do you want? Can I get a receipt?" I tend to often get mistaken for Korean and speak the local language with a strong American accent, so they usually assume I'm an idiot foreigner and let me get away with it. I love the idea of getting a receipt. Ask them how to file it for tax purposes. Few years ago I worked as a nightclub bouncer so I could make some extra cash. The code for all security to the dance floor because shit is erupting / riot imminent was for the DJ to play Usher, yeah. Noticeable because it was an EDM club that had a bad reputation for fighting and the song was so obviously out of place we'd all be alerted. To this day I can't hear the song without getting a surge of adrenaline and getting ready to brawl for my life. 437,737 means herpes in online dating. I saw a profile of a girl saying she has 437,737 cats and thought, I'm sure that number has some significance. Apparently if a person puts that number in their profile it means they have herpes and they want to let people know without getting embarrassed. According to Urban Dictionary that number spells herpes on a keypad. I took this to mean calculator at first, but that just spells hell. I am not a smart man. I was once on a cruise ship and there was an announcement on the tannoy for the crew, Starlight, Starlight. Some were visibly shaken and it caused quite a bit of upset. Later discovered that was code for elderly passenger has died. The QEII had a small onboard mortuary. On a cruise ship I was on there was a meeting on the schedule for Friends of Bill which is code for Alcoholics Anonymous. Also, Friends of Dorothy which is gay/lesbian. Fun fact, the code, Friend of Dorothy, was a thing in the 80s, and was frequently used by soldiers. Higher UPS in the military that attempted to root out gay soldiers believed that Dorothy was an actual person, and somehow decided she must be a lesbian who was the center of conspiracy. They never were able to find this mysterious lesbian mastermind that all gay soldiers seemed to know. Is it Dorothy because Judy Garland is one of the patron saints of LGBT? Exactly. Friend of Bill's is just the old school way to say that someone is sober and attends meetings. Bill W. was the founder of AA, and laid the groundwork for other programs that understood what the addict goes through. People like to discredit him by saying that he asked for whiskey on his deathbed. And yes he did. But that's the whole point, every day of that man's life was a fight to not drink, and when it no longer mattered, he gave in. That's the power of addiction, and only an addict gets it. AA doesn't heal you, that's impossible, it just helps you not use, one day at a time. I was on a cruise ship where some freak accident killed 3 employees below deck when some sewage spilled and they were overcome with toxic gas. I just remember a PA call of red party or something like that with the deck number and employees scrambling. Was pretty unnerving as it obviously was code for something serious going down and we were queuing to disembark. Can confirm that sewer gas contains hydrogen sulfide, H2S, which is very toxic. Not only that, but once you are exposed, even to a low concentration, it paralyzes the nerves in your nose, so you can't detect the H2S anymore. You think the threat is gone, but in fact, you're still being exposed. SARS, I'm a chemical engineer who designs systems that remove H2S. And here we have an actually relevant username. Someone had to be airlifted by Her Majesty's Coast Guard off of my cruise this past summer. We were between Norway and the UK and a passenger either got very sick or very injured. We don't really know. They announced what was happening about 2 hours before they airlifted the passenger. We got a pretty good view from one of the lounges. It was incredible to see the precision of HMCG. They tethered the injured passenger and 2 family members because the helicopter was too big to land on the pad. We were guessing it was an elderly passenger who had a heart attack or stroke and needed to go to a hospital immediately, mostly because the average age of the passengers was 60. Utility locating is everywhere, not sure if rules are international but US rules are such. Yellow equals gas, red equals electric, orange equals communications, green equals sewer, blue equals water, pink equals engineering, private work done where actual excavation is not planned, purple equals irrigation I believe. So anytime you see these marks, under them is the aforementioned underground utility line. The more you know. Also dial 811 before you dig, US it's free, yes you. What happens if you knock out the telephone and your poor old neighbor is calling 911, blood on your hands for being the fool. When I worked at a supermarket many years ago, we had code 12 which was called on the speakers if they saw a very attractive person in the store. The code would also say where, so for example code 12 bread. We had a code for either, just can't remember the other one, sad face. At my store, security to section meant, we don't have security, but we see you stealing. When I worked retail, my store was divided into sections. Section 1 was front, section 2 was electronics, etc. If we saw anyone being suspicious we would say over the PA, security, you have a call on line 2, meaning someone was being sketchy in the electronics section, and a few employees would go to keep an eye out. I wasn't aware of this until a month after I got the job when I asked the manager where security was because they get a lot of calls, and as soon as I asked I realized I was just a bumbling idiot. Got fired 2 weeks later. A few years ago, I went to pick up a large pizza from Marcos in Michigan and the cashier asked, "Would you like that cut with a clean knife?" And I was like, WTF? She looked super frightened and rushed the order after that. Was that a code? I used to work at a pizza place. We had a pretty big Indian population in the area. Nearly all of them were vegetarian for religious purposes and would ask for their vegetarian pizzas to be cut with a clean knife to avoid contamination by meat. LOL, we would add vegetarian to the print slip to tell the guy boxing the pizza to use the vegetarian knife. In my office, when someone announces, "Your ride's here," that means somebody unidentified has just walked in. It's a closed, private office with no receptionist or public coming and going. If it's nobody we're expecting, it sounds better than, "Somebody just walked in the door." I don't get it. Who exactly are you announcing this to? And is it within earshot of the person being referred to? If so, wouldn't they be confused if they're not picking anyone up? Comcast has an awesome one. If you call the cancellation line and say, "I would like to cancel my account," they will offer you premium channels and shit for free. DirecTV used to be good about this too, until the AT&T buyout. I told them I was going to cancel unless they could help me with the bill, which had worked a couple times before. They called my bluff. I canceled my service. Now they want to give me a year for free, and I'm just like, nah, you guys on principle alone. They call me like every week, and keep sending me mail/emails. You up DirecTV? Asterisk to everyone regarding the bluff, I was in fact bluffing when I originally called to cancel, as I had no intention to cancel and was just hoping they would lower my bill with the threat of canceling. Based on the bullshit I got on the phone, I decided to run some numbers, and did end up canceling. Regarding principal versus principal, come on guys. This was easy to get upvotes / comments / traction in the thread with a simple spelling / grammar mistake. All the Reddit karma pros do this shit daily. Don't be so gullible.